Some people may be wondering what exactly I look for in a great cinematic experience. Well, the answer to that is pretty simple, actually. I want directors with vision. I want inspired writers. And I want actors with dedication to their craft. In short, I want everything that the modern comic book movie is not. Let's discuss. Before I get started, I'd like to kindly ask that you hit the like button, and please subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.
So, pretty please, with sugar on top. Clean the fucking car.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've made it very clear in the past why Quentin Tarantino is my all-time favorite director. And a big reason for that goes far beyond the movies that he actually makes. It also has to do with his unapologetic opinions about cinema and his love for the art form, which has honestly influenced me on this channel to be just as honest, just as critical, and just as direct as he is, simply because, like Tarantino, I know what I like and I know what I don't like.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
And my opinions always come from a place of love and wanting the best for this art form that shaped me. And I could honestly care less what the latest fad in cinema is, or what is actually popular for everyone to talk about. If a movie or a movie genre is trash, I'm going to tell you so. And I'm here to tell you that the comic book movie genre as it stands right now is trash.
That's right, it stinks!
So Quentin Tarantino has a new book coming out, and he's doing a lot of press promoting it and doing a lot of interviews. And in a recent article with the LA Times, the subject of comic book films was brought up to him, as it always is, because for some reason these media types always feel compelled to bring up comic book movies to these legendary directors because they know they're going to get a headline out of it. Because they know the moment that this person isn't praising comic book movies unconditionally, the butthurt fanboys will come out of their basements to bitch, moan, and complain about it.
S-O-F capital T, soft, huh?
But I'm the one who's just saying things for clicks, right? Here's the thing, Tarantino isn't even against the idea of comic book movies, and neither am I. But you know that this article will be framed and spun that way. But let's take a look at his actual quotes and see if we can decipher what he's actually talking about here. First of all, it should be noted that he spends most of this article praising a bunch of films that he loves and showing his knowledge on the subject. In fact, I would venture to say that he probably knows more about the subject of movies than anyone on this planet.
That makes sense.
I highly recommend that you read the whole article, especially if you're a movie fan like me. In the article, he also talks about respecting professional film critics. Now, obviously, he's not talking about the shills on Rotten Tomatoes who are posing as critics. You know, the ones who ejaculate all over themselves every time there's an Easter egg or a reference in an MCU movie. No, he's talking about real critics who actually have something to offer, not the clowns that think the MCU is peak cinema.
What an idiot! Oh, what a loser!
So shout out to him again in this article for embracing real film criticism as a director. And then we come to the part that is sure to ruffle MCU and DCEU fans' feathers. The subject of 1960 anti-establishment directors rejoicing when studio musical adaptations fell out of favor, and whether or not today's filmmakers can't wait for superhero movies to get the same treatment. Tarantino says, quote, "The analogy works because it's a similar chokehold." So the question becomes, when can we expect the tide to turn? Listen, at some point, even the most dedicated comic book movie fan is going to lose interest in this genre. To me, superhero movies are on a downward trending curve, mostly because creativity in them is at an all-time low. And you can slowly start to see audiences becoming fatigued by the whole concept.
I don't give a fuck.
And as for the movies having a chokehold on the entire industry, we already know that he is 100% accurate in saying that. They dominate screens at movie theaters, so smaller films can't get the same type of exposure. And because people support these movies unconditionally, it's the only genre that production companies will actually put a large amount of resources into. So what you end up with is uncreative, formulaic content.
Put some effort into it!
The interviewer went on to ask him why he never raised his hand for Marvel and DC flicks. And we all know the answer to that already. But he answers the question in the most Tarantino way possible, with pure and simple a king shit response. He says, quote, "You have to be a hired hand to do those things. I'm not a hired hand. I'm not looking for a job. That's why this dude is a fucking legend. He knows what it is. We are a long way removed from the Christopher Nolan, Sam Raimi era of comic book movies. He knows that when you sign up to do these movies now, as a director, you are signing away all creative freedom you might have for that film.
Oh, you're right. And when you're right, you're right. And you're always right.
You no longer, as an artist, have final say on the product that you are supposed to be creating. Some suit in an office somewhere has final say. I'm convinced that people who make comic book movies now are only doing it because they needed a job. They needed a paycheck. They aren't going into these projects with the intention of creating a memorable story. Because the powers that be will never allow that to happen. Because everything has to fit into this established universe. You are just a cog in the machine at that point. And guys like Quentin Tarantino or Martin Scorsese know that, and that type of thing does not interest them at all. And it doesn't interest me either. Because to them, the art of cinema is everything. Artistic freedom is everything. They weren't put on this planet to make subpar popcorn flicks that are forgotten about in a week after the Twitter hype wears off.
So that I may talk. Squirrel!
Listen, there will always be a place for these types of movies, but they should not dominate the market, and that's been my point from the very start. Give me something that inspires me. Give me variety. And for the love of God, media, stop asking these stupid fucking questions to legendary directors. More often than not, they do not care about these movies, and honestly, I'm at the point now where neither do I. There's a news story every other day about a new Marvel or DC project coming out in the near future, and I really don't cover any of them because honestly, I'm over all of it. My advice would be to stop supporting every piece of garbage that is put out just because it has Marvel or DC in the title, and maybe, just maybe, then we can move on into the next phase of cinema.
Jesus fucking Christ, it's about time! Y'all be cool. Right on.